This next topic is from PC Gamer. Epic launches self-publishing tools, calls out Valve again. Steam has created a real problem for the industry. This is by Tyler Wilde. The Epic Game Store is now open for self-publishing. For $100, the same fee Valve charges for Steam submissions, anyone can submit a game for inclusion in the Epic Game Store library. Epic's system is similar to Steam's Direct, with which Valve introduced in 2018 and will probably result in Epic's library ballooning over the next year. There are a few notable differences between Steam and Epic's self-publishing rules, however. In some ways, Epic's game submission guidelines are more permissive than Steam's, but Epic also has two big rules that Steam doesn't. Paraphrased, they are no pornographic games. Fellas, no stuff on there.
No dirty.
And multiplayer games must have crossplay with other PC stores.
Bars.
Right. The first of those was expected. Epic CEO Tim Sweeney said in 2019 they don't want to sell porn games. Well, we'll skip that part. Not as important. Because we'll just cover it right here. You can play them wherever you want on Steam. Just live with that. Anyway, the second rule, there is a requirement rather than a prohibition. If you release a multiplayer game on the Epic Game Store and Steam, or another PC store, you have to make it possible for everyone to play together, regardless of where they bought it. Epic offers a free solution for cross-launch multiplayer called Epic Online Services, but says those developers can use their own online system if they prefer. Steam does not have such a requirement for multiplayer games, and its free multiplayer API, Steamworks, does not work on any store except Steam. Sweeney has a bone to pick with Valve over that. In a call this week, the Epic CEO told me that Steam has created a real problem for the industry with Steamworks. Quote, they have a classic lock-in strategy where they build these services that only work with their store, and they use the fact that they have the majority market share in order to encourage everybody to ship games that have a broken experience in other stores, Sweeney said. And we were bitten by this early on with a number of multiplayer games coming to the Epic Game Store. Steamworks didn't work on our store, so they had either a reduced set of multiplayer features or none, or they were just limited to much smaller audience back in the launch days of the Epic Game Store. So you had a lot of multiplayer games that really felt like they were broken. And remember, Call of Duty went through a debacle launching on the Windows Store a while back in which you could only matchmake with other Windows Store players, and that is not how PC should work. End quote. The Epic Online Services API also supports crossplay between PC and consoles. It's the same technology Epic built for Fortnite, but console crossplay isn't a requirement for EGS submissions, just crossplay between PC stores. A potential consequence for us is that we will see more multiplayer games use their own friends lists or Epic systems rather than fully integrating with Steamworks. That's already a common sight, though. Many multiplayer games on Steam require separate accounts or only partially use Steam's API. Rainbow on Steam requires separate accounts, or Rainbow Six Siege, for instance, requires Ubisoft Connect. PC multiplayer functionality, of course, wasn't tied to the store you bought it from in the pre-Steam era. I'm not sure how you would have made me play Command & Conquer Red Alert exclusively at Fry's Electronics. Thanks, Tom Wild.
I mean, that's the long and short of it. Is that it's just easier. It's easier to publish games on Epic now.
I remember when Epic first came out, it was kind of funny because they were the ones who were getting ragged on by everybody. People were angry at Epic Games for challenging Steam because Steam was the top dog. It was the only dog. It was before we had these different launchers. Now, a lot of that really came down to the fact they didn't want to just open up another launcher, have two on their PC at the same time, since they would find that a little bit inconveniencing. But
we were also in the days of platform exclusivity. Like, if someone had a game on Steam and you had it on Epic, you just couldn't play together. That was a short period of time, but it was a period of time.
Yeah, and to Epic's credit, they're upping Steam in some ways. Not some in other ways. I mean, obviously, we're not... Tavin, I don't know about you, but I don't play porn games. Do you?
Listen, I would like my private life to remain my private life.
That's
okay,
fine.
Connor? You don't need to be out here digging out, asking for all these personal ass questions.
Okay. But no, it's fine if people play those games. But, competition is good. And while there are some caveats that you can kind of come across with, how online games work, that's the thing I'm most confused about, since I'm not a tech guy. I don't know how these systems are exactly done, but I know that I want to be able to play with anybody. I don't want any restrictions to really be blocking my way. So aside from that, I mean, competition is usually a good thing, so someone doesn't have an entire monopoly over how you play games on PC, which Steam kind of was the top dog for the longest time, and now they actually have a substantial challenger.
Yeah, I mean, the long and short of it is this is enabling more games to get in the hands of more players and for more players to play the way they want,
Mm-hmm.
which is just unilaterally just a good thing for consumers. I think Epic in the last couple of years has really been pushing more than the last couple of years for quite a while now, has been the lead dog in pushing for consumer services. I would argue that Epic is the reason why the crossplay walls have fallen and the gatekeeping is limited to almost none nowadays. And we've seen them fight a lot of big dogs for a lot of reasons for a number of years now. In the early days of this show, we saw them take on Apple and Google for Fortnite price gouging on their platforms, and how that would affect other mobile games and mobile gaming services on those platforms. And that didn't really go too much in their favor, but it started a conversation. And here they are doing it again, where this one they've got quite a bit more ground to stand on than last time. And I think this will just enable a unification in gaming to where gamers, as I said before, will just be able to play what they want, where they want. And it just allows developers ease of access to different platforms and stuff. Sweeney, mentioned it in the article here, where like it was really hard for some games to come to Epic and have full content on Epic Game Store, or have every service and have it run at the same level of quality as it would on Steam or on PlayStation, etc. This is just a way to enable game developers to have content complete packages and to give them the tools needed to continue evolving the industry. Hats off to Epic. Y'all have been fighting the good fight for a minute now, even though there are shortcomings to Epic Games for sure. But I've always felt that they've been behind the consumer for a long, long time.
To your point of how they don't do everything right, this does have a little quote saying in the article, unlike Steam, the Epic Game Store has no ban on blockchain games, which, to you and me, we don't know much about NFTs and the whole blockchain concept, but it's clearly one that's being pushed by corporations. Square Enix's now former CEO was a big pusher of that, and the new one might be as well. It doesn't seem like Epic's trying to screw anybody over with this, but they're clearly just getting behind the new thing, which is...
Yeah, but I just kind of see NFTs and a blockchain as a fad for today, and it's already dying.
It is.
Like, we're watching it die before our eyes. So I just don't think, yes, they should probably block those things, but it's not a priority. Mm-hmm. And I think this is more of a priority than that. There was also some security issues they had in the early days. I don't know if they fixed those or not, but things were low. I think something about giving information away on Chinese servers or something like that. I forget exactly. But
that never happens.
Regardless, hats off to Epic, in my opinion.